This video is brought to you by SimpliSafe. There is no safe like SimpliSafe.
And I found out that basically we're disqualified. We're disqualified from running Pikes Peak.
This has been a long time coming.
A requirement from Pikes Peak, you have to have a fuel cell, not a fuel tank. There's a very weird but distinct difference between the two. A tank is a tank. It's just a metal structure, sometimes has a coating on the inside of it, and that holds fuel. In this case, this is a fuel cell, and a fuel cell, particularly a FIA certified one, actually has what you have, a bladder. It is still a tank, but it's also a cell. The car were to get, in an accident, like roll over down the side of the mountain, the metal will ultimately break. You can break the actual fuel tank, and the fuel cell will still hold the fuel.
I don't think it's never ending.
Yeah, it keeps refilling.
Wow.
There we are. Let's crack open this part, but before we do that, let's show you what's gonna go in there. This is one of the first Fuel Lab setups that uses their new 1100 liter per hour pump. Basically built their smaller size surge tank inside of fuel cell. So you got anti-rollover, so you see that? It's got the lift pump built in, as well as a fill, and they actually even have a level sensor. Inside of this right here is a single 1100 liter per hour twin screw brushless pump. Now this thing will do way more damage than the two 600s. The two 600s have to fight each other. This one, single pump, just goes straight to whatever you're trying to fuel. So if you have a ton of back pressure on this, or high pressure in general, you'll use 30 amps. But normal operation, you take your base, which is like 43 plus a little bit of loss, we'll just go up to 60. So you're talking 25 amps at full tilt, and just the flow is insane. Way over the 1,000 horsepower we need sustained. That's a remote fill. Oh, look at how clean that is.
No. That's awesome.
I don't even mind just having that on the side of the car. That's just beautiful. I'm really excited to try this. The current usage will be similar to how it was before, but less pumps, less complexity. Now we get to see what's inside of this.
Slightly shorter than the stock tank, so we can have a better diffuser.
You hear that?
Nah.
You see that? That's the actual fuel cell.
Oh, I see it. Yeah, that's cool.
And
Almost could take this stuff out just because that's the whole reason for our surge tank. That feels wild. It's like almost like a plasticky rubber.
Gotta touch it now. Oh, whoa.
Yeah.
I expected it to be like soft.
Yeah.
Oh, that looks nasty.
While we currently are cleaning up the shop, what we have done is nothing short of extraordinary. And I mean that for the whole team. This has been absolutely incredible. And to have a team so small do something so crazy requires a lot of help. Even while we're off in Colorado Springs trying to conquer a mountain in the middle of nowhere, the shop still exists. People know where this is, and some people don't always have the best intentions, and that's why I'm thankful that SimpliSafe has been a partner with me for many years now. And beyond that, they make an incredible set of products. They keep me, you know it, simply safe. They have all the different widgets and gadgets and things that you would want to be able to keep track of your stuff or your place while you're gone, or even while you're in there. You can have entry sensors, smoke alarms, flood sensors, glass break sensors. Those are just the basics in their lineup of things, and they're always innovating. They're coming up with new sensors, new cameras, new indoor cameras, new outdoor cameras, with things like the 24/7 live guard protection system, and including the indoor smart alarm camera. SimpliSafe is always taking the game of protection up a notch. It's not just the basics. They have as many choices and things that you want to do, and you can customize your system to your heart's content. You can start with a base and build it out from there. And above all of that, you get 20% off of your system, and your first month is free when you sign up for Fast Protect monitoring. There is no safe like SimpliSafe. Go to simplysafe.com/RobDahm to sign up. That's simplysafe.com/RobDahm. We're gonna take an old intercooler core that was from the 3-rotor and actually prep it to be like the one that we're waiting on in shipping. So
Garrett makes a 2-row shorter version of this and 3-inch longer, almost the same width as our radiator, and it won't take as much vertical real estate, so the bottom half will be that much better, but I don't have it yet. I want to have a core in there so we can plan how to mount it. I'm going to lop these tanks off, add a 3-inch wide band on one side, and that would be the core, but I also get to cut 2 rows off of this as well. I am making something that I know Isaiah's going to try to throw out, but it's going to be my pride and joy for now. And this whole weekend gets me the opportunity while he's at EDC to understand exactly what our new intercooler is going to be like. It's the same as one of our older intercoolers, a little bit shorter, so we cut those rows off, and then 3 inches wider. So I'm going to make this 3-inch extension so I can mount it in the car, you know, figure out all the logistics instead of everybody standing there with me trying to figure it out. This is the first time I've made a rectangle. I'm actually really proud of this. I'm gonna tack this onto the intercooler. That's really good fitment. For anybody wondering, this allows the whole system to rotate and pivot. Just pretend that this core goes that much longer. That's the new core of our intercooler. I gotta figure out how I'm gonna mount this in the car. I got a 3D design for the end tank. What we're gonna do is make sure that from this line to this line, the end tank's gonna have a welded on, basically shield, blocking this airflow from this core and the radiator core to get as much air for each of them. Now, what you're gonna see is this air coming out of here is gonna hit the end tank. So we're gonna kind of treat the end tank like a fan shroud of sorts, and so it'll purposely do like this, and then bring the, you know, like on the back side of the air, bring it out and where it needs to go. Everything's gonna serve multiple purposes in here. As the back of the car really shapes up, what I have Ryan doing right now is making basically a cradle for the fuel cell. So it'll be a square tube, and all of the bolts that bolt the top to the bottom of the outer casing of the fuel cell, so the fuel tank, will actually also go through this as well. We're actually sinking it 2 inches down, lower center of gravity, and then tons of room for activities on the top.
Dude, quit flexing just because there's 20 gallons in there.
Yeah, it's full. It's really not that bad. We got the first bar welded in, and I used the manual mill, and sadly the manual mill wasn't square, and so the holes kind of drifted a little bit, but it still was perfectly fine. We're gonna go ahead and throw this in. That's where the fuel cell will be. The diffuser still has tons of room, and we have room to build the firewall with all the other things going underneath it. I've just found a really cool secret thing about this that I didn't realize until I grabbed this and I was playing with it. And I did this, and you hear that jingle, right? But it's when I hit the bottom of this. This isn't their standard surge tank. It has one-way valves in the bottom that if there's air in here and there's fuel up to a certain point, whatever point that is, that fuel will go into the surge tank. So it will fill itself even without the pump here. So if you're sitting here with tons of fuel outside and you use all of it inside and say the pump dies, well, it'll fill this back up within a reasonable amount of time. Of course, you still need this, but that's really neat that...
It's like a double fill system.
Yeah, it's just like a fail-safe fill, and just the most efficient way of using this combination. Pretty much in there solid, and of course it should be able to handle my weight on these. 15 gallons is times 7.5 pounds times 2 G's. It's a lot of force. It is time to fit the QSST unit from Fuel Lab, and we've added the fuel level sensor, slide sensor, and then the fuel fill. And one of the cool things about it is it's also got rollover prevention as well. What comes with this is the ability to slide the pickup lower and higher. And so what we're gonna do is say, okay, it's gonna bottom out at 7.8, half inch off the bottom would make me happy. This is the fuel cell, is this rubberized homologation number. Not valid after 2029, so I better do some cool shit before 2029. The bottom of this tank to hit that right there is 8.4 inches. I'm happy with this position. And then finally, the crown jewel. Yeah. That goes right into there to meet all the requirements and my own safety. We're gonna plate all the way around here, kind of a horseshoe shape, and then there'll be a service panel right here that goes up like this. The pump is gonna come around here, go through the filter mounted back here, and then the return and the lines will go to the hard lines under the car. And pretty sick seeing all that. And then Ryan got this welded in. So that's the transmission cooler.
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, it purposely pulls the heat away from the side of the tank, so we're not really heating up fuel. Very first moment we're seeing the front of the car together. It's not gonna fit. That's down. That's not reaching. That's not reaching. This is looking super promising. The only issue is Isaiah's choice of where the tube is. Hits this right here. So we're gonna cut a section of this off, and then we'll make brackets, and we're gonna be doing some fiberglass additions to really hold these at speed into the car. But like I said, I think we're gonna get the fenders, the hood all mounted first. And then, okay, headlights have to be there, and then front bumper has to follow suit. Ethan just redeemed himself for cutting into my vise. He 3D printed this blade looking thing that allows us to use and get to the entire cord. You can see the challenge with the amount of coolers that we have, but even though there'll be some separation of air here, it's still better than nothing at all. We're just gonna start with this main duct and kind of literally do this with the duct and ourselves, because like if you start looking over here like, oh, well, wait, and it's exhausting. So
This is all said and done. I have all the fittings and everything figured out. This is going to go to our auxiliary radiator. This is going to go to our reservoir, our fuel reservoir. This is going to be coolant in from the engine, coolant out from the engine, and that's it. So I only had to weld one thing under here, which is just that 1/8 inch. So if this fucks up for whatever reason, we could buy another one, weld that on. Super simple, nothing complicated. I pressure tested everything on all the fittings. I'm learning from my mistakes. I have a horrible track record with coolant systems, and I don't want to keep making those mistakes. I am able to put pressure to it, see how much pressure is going on, and then find a leak and resolve it before I even put it in there. Tested, good, tried and true, and ready to go in the car.
This has been one of the most chaotic, most enjoyable, most extreme things we have ever done. And while many of you are probably deep down hoping it's the 4-rotor, this just shows you what comes next. This is basically a big update because it's loud. Everybody's grinding, bumping, slow motion for me. What I want to show you guys is all the different things that are equally worthy of like their whole series. We got the billet engine. This engine saves me 35 pounds and it goes together after this shot, actually, even though it'll be in 2 different videos. Moving forward, you can see the most alien looking thing ever. And this is actually probably the first glimpse you guys will get of this. These are my billet uprights for the front of the car. And so that is worth the stress, it's worth the hassle because it fixes a lot of suspension geometry in the front, gives us better steering angle, that lets us run the new Willwood brakes with Corvette hubs. Absolutely insane. This is what I was hoping for with the time we're given, is basically any air going into here has to come through this area. We will cut into the hood and have extractors in both corners, in the front center for the main radiator, and then all the coolers go back in, the motor goes in. It's completely untested, and we're supposed to be leaving in less than 48 hours. I am in the middle of testing my paddle shifting. The computer's getting all the signals. It's, removable, wired in. It's even got CAN bus to it, so when we get all the buttons and things figured out. But the air shifter works. I just haven't been able to test it all together yet. On top of the car though, we're gonna be gluing this panel on. We've got the carbon hatch that was on the 4-rotor, but we have the Lexan glass. We're gonna keep this on here as long as possible because somebody's gonna wipe it down and trash it. So much lighter than it was. Full firewall and the Fuel Lab fuel cell, fuel safe fuel cell, all like, I'm very, very proud of the team. Doing Pikes Peak forces me to level up my building. Working on the doors, so the doors had to get gutted so far, but we also have to put Lexan glass into the windows. We'll make it removable, so Ethan put those tabs on there. So doors will go back on, rear wide fenders. The rear diffuser is from the 4-rotor. In retrospect, I'd probably want the strakes to be longer. Those aren't gonna touch the ground, and the closer they are to the ground, the more efficient the whole system is. One of my favorite things that I'm gonna do, we're actually gonna blow the exhaust out both sides of the diffuser wide. So the whole diffuser is gonna have even more downforce than it ever had before, especially when the car is at full tilt. This car is nothing like I expected. It's starting to come together quite nicely. We've lost our sanity. We're supposed to leave tomorrow midday. Realistically, I think we're gonna push it a little bit later than that because I'd rather have one really good day of testing than 2 bad days of not testing. Everything's coming together. We have the new glass right here. I could not believe that I called SEUBi thinking that's not gonna actually work. And they're here delivering it and setting it up right now. Oh, that looks beautiful.
This is pretty fucking cool. Something's happening without me directly doing it, and that's fucking awesome. I got all the coolers and everything all set and done, welded up. I got all the fittings that I need to continue going. It just hit 5 o'clock, so now nothing's really open anymore, so I'm ready to work for, I don't know, the next 24 hours pretty much. The end of today is going to be the start putting everything finally in.
It is Friday the 31st. Tomorrow we're supposed to be testing and we are not going to make it. I messaged Pikes Peak and they thankfully allowed me to move over to the following week. So we have 6 days right now to get ready for testing. So I've bought these guys as much time as I can, but the problem is they took that as in take the time off, which was the same problem 2 months ago. So I'm a little frustrated, to say the least. But when they are here, they are putting their effort into the car and it's coming together. What you're seeing here is actually literally being filmed the day before we were supposed to leave for testing, and now 6 days before we leave for testing. So we've got a lot left to do, and I need most of these days to shake the car down, and that's the problem, is that, oh, getting it running in 6 days is the way that everybody perceives it. Not a remote eyebrow raise. This is just how it is working with the people that I work with. That said, I'm gonna use my time while I wait on them to build the front suspension and put every single bit of wiring, like fine detail that I can. Might as well use this downtime effectively. Isaiah's line running is very weird. Look at all this excess loop. The oil pump is right here. It's literally where the oil comes out of. And then that needs to get to both oil coolers. So which way would you go? Most likely, hey, to one and then to the other and then back this way and over to the oil feed. But he went this way, so you have to go across the car, come all the way out here, and then go to this one, and then carry that all the way over to this one. It's just excessive. SpeedFlow is insanely expensive, and we work with SpeedFlow. I love SpeedFlow, but any type of hose, especially this high quality, is stupidly expensive. You don't want to do this multiple times. This fitting being welded right on the side of here, it's not exactly the ideal placement for the end tank flow on this. And there's actually one that's even worse. It goes straight this way, and that's oil pressure going straight through those fins instead of being angled or something to get to down here. I don't think this bottom part's ever going to get used. It'll still be very efficient, and I just have to make peace with the weird things that are happening while I'm trying to get my part done as well.
Joe wants to put me under their pressure this time and show you guys what I've been doing. Just peace of mind. I know the car's going together properly. I know that it's tested. It's not going to get up to a pressure and then fail or whatever the case is. You know, I'm actually taking this opportunity to just test one of the dry brake fittings. Honestly, never had a SpeedFlow fitting fail, and I just didn't want this to be the first time. So I spray it with soapy water, and if any air bubbles come out, I know, oh shit, it's leaking from there. This passes. Take it back off, clean it up, and put it back on the car. Actually really excited because I did the oil feeds for the bearings a certain way, and I think they came out really, really nice, because normally we have this little Y thing that Y's into all these fingers. Each bearing used to be 8, but they need to be 6. I did a 10 all the way to the dry brake. The dry brake goes down to an 8. The 8 T's in the back, because there's a regulator back there. I put the sensor on there, the temp and pressure, so that was just one sensor on that T. Comes out to an 8, T's to a 6, and comes to here. And it looks really good. And so besides what anybody says, and my heart, I'm really happy with it. So everything's been tested, so nothing will fail, so nobody could complain about shit. So who's the true winner at the end of the day?
The car.
The day we're supposed to leave, we ordered a very custom-sized intercooler core, and it arrived.
As you guys know, I made that intercooler core from the other intercooler core, but I made that extra 3-inch extension, and that was to mimic what's inside of here. Almost the exact same width as the core of the radiator.
It has the same surface area as the taller one, but it's shorter and makes up for that in the length of it. We ran into a bit of a predicament. The end tanks I designed and then had the computer optimize are just very difficult in this short amount of time to cut with the CNC machine. I just don't have that depth of tool. I don't have experience with that. And it's also got to be thin to be useful. So we actually took the base design I had made in the computer before it optimized it, and we actually used that to make the end tanks, because it analyzed that and it showed that at 1,000 horsepower of airflow, these only drop 0.5 psi on each side, whereas the optimized end tanks drop 0.25 on each side. So it's kind of wild, but it's also like not a big deal. These still flow really well. It's kind of funny that my initial design actually ends up being what we're going to be using, but it's way better than anything else.
It's about that time, race car things, where you start cutting holes on just to get bolts on. And it's just this back corner bolt on the upper manifold, so just this on the opposite side that you can barely touch the top of it with your finger. There's a shelf right here where the windshield wiper is that just goes straight to the engine bay. So I'm just gonna hole saw a hole right there, just to get a socket through, just to tighten that thing up. I'm so good.
Today is the last day, so last 24 hours, well, 12 hours now because we leave at midnight, of the build that we can do here in the shop. And I think it's time I take this shirt and upgrade it.
Oh,
yeah,
I know.
I purposely have not unboxed this. They sent this to me maybe a month ago.
Aw.
Taylor, nope, clearly mailed it out to me because I didn't know they'd be in there. I was honored to be picked as Haltech's Hero of the Year because of you guys. They made custom shirt for
That's
it.
sick.
So,
Whoa, that right there is badass.
That's badass. Limited edition. I love that.
Actually did a pretty good job with the
Yeah.
color.
Yeah. There's the real car. Wait, what is this?
Oh. Surprise.
Oh,
that's sick.
That's badass. I've never won an award of any kind, and this is like truly one of the most important ones to me. That's all I'm gonna be working on today is Haltech. So hopefully I can still be a hero in 2024. I actually don't know what's in this. They know me. Hell yeah. I was just looking for safety glasses yesterday because we all keep swapping them. Oh, those are beefy. That's super useful. Pointer and then just the floodlight. Someday I'm gonna be a good person and use these.
Our cars don't need
Our
them
cars
right
don't
now.
need it.
Maybe the FC.
So we have to leave in 6 hours exactly. This is not a 6 hour left bit of work, but the guys are giving it their all and trying to button up anything that they touch. That way we can trust it when we go shake it down. This is kind of wild. The whole front suspension is a little bit shorter than I was anticipating. It gives me about 3 inches of total travel, which I don't think is enough. Scott Birdsall might have some tire warmers for me. He's gonna try and overnight them when we know where we're gonna be staying. Fire system's all together. I'm really proud of that. I hate soldering, but the buttons are soldered in, and then SCL like heat shrink over that, so it holds everything together. The fire wire is in. Everything's active, so I don't wanna test it, but I wanna test it. Now it's gonna be a race to finish the front of the car. Ethan went and finally got a belt and this part mounted for the alternator. I got that smaller pulley again. If you guys remember, like a million years ago, all the ratios are now correct. It's kind of funny because that main pulley actually is 1 rib less than all the other ones. So it looks a little funny, but it's 100% functional. I got this installed. This is the clutch line, and it's a quick disconnect. The vibrant thing with it, just be able to pull, and it's
Stays
air.
bled. Oh.
Yeah. With all that done, Isaiah's working on one of the most critical areas, which is water pump and coolant going in and out of here. Of course, going to the E-gate turbo. I didn't know how to make these ducts, so this whole area is now a duct. Everything else is just air coming into the engine bay, which normally would be bad. But Professional Awesome, AJ Hartman and Ray Sluvers, some combination of those guys, they did a lot of wind tunnel testing and showed that you get decreased downforce but increased cooling if you actually just duct the hood properly, not duct straight from the radiator to the hood. That actually increases downforce but decreases cooling. That 25% increase of cooling, I could use every bit of that. These are from a Corvette. It starts way later than you would expect because this is still getting higher pressure, and then as it comes up to a level surface, that's when the speed of the air increases, decreasing pressure, making this extraction work more efficiently. And then this one and this one, they were both put in the back corners where the air could accumulate in the engine bay, but this one purposely was put almost directly over the downpipe. This means it will have more cooling in the engine bay. Even though it'll be hot air from all the coolers, it'll be colder than the engine itself. It's 10:30. We're supposed to leave in an hour and a half. That's giving us
coolant lines.
Yeah, there's no coolant lines. There's no intercooler, and the front splitter's got cut out. So I think shuffling Robert around, his exhaust looks beautiful, but we need help in the front. Even if we have to leave at 2 in the morning or whatever else,
and I have to even, at worst case, I guess, whatever gets us there at 3 a.m., and then I go straight to driving as long as I'm get some sleep in the car or something like that. If a rookie doesn't do all the sections of testing, you get disqualified. This is the most solid the car's been, but the least sorted, because obviously the first time I'm ever going to drive it is on Pikes Peak.
No big deal.
No big deal. Good thing I've been doing those driving classes. We didn't get master cylinder reservoirs with this order. They swapped styles on us, one that has an internal reservoir and then one that doesn't. And we thought for sure, okay, not a big deal. We have spares. We can't find them anywhere. So I had to make a little bit of a mess. So now I can pull these two off. Got them.
I just want you guys to know that there will never be a better man than myself. And I say that in the most humblest way I possibly can. I have been working for 19 hours now. The reason why I say that in particular is because in this 19th hour of work, this is the type of quality that I still produce. This is the one moment that I'm going to take to jerk myself off, because nothing in this world will be able to kill my spirit. And I just noticed that I didn't have my new pinless clamp assemblies, and I was like, man, I know I ordered them. I wonder if they're on back order, whatever the case is. And sure enough, this morning they all came in, and it's literally like fake.
Our drop dead worst time to leave was 28 hours ago. We are so far behind, it's rough. You can see I've slept about 5 hours total in the last 3 days. All the electronics are like just top-notch. Steering angle sensor working, ABS system with the new brakes all figured out. We can go till midnight and not make any stops along the way and still get 8 hours of sleep with the time change and everything like that. So I need to drive this car. I do not want the first moment that the car touches down in Colorado up in the mountain, I just go. We need to heat it up, cool it down, find all the leaks. We're swapping springs on the rears. We moved the rear wheel speed sensors, everything out of the way of the exhaust, because it's just gonna radiate heat. At this point, when the car sets down, hopefully it's only the 1.6 inches of drop, but if it's still too much, we'll have to preload the springs for the moment. We don't have the front strut bar on, so I can't lower the shock the way I intended with all the Heim joints and everything. So I'm kind of capped out at how high the front of the car can be. I can actually raise the rear up another ½ inch, almost an inch, but that'll create a lot of rake, which is good for aero, but that'll cause the splitter to hit the ground quicker. We're all going delirious, but I really wanted to make sure that this side of the intercooler gets as much heat shielding as possible, because 300-degree oil coming out of this, 100-degree cold air coming out of this, not the best combination. So PTP sent me a little care package for Pikes, and I'm gonna put it to good use. It's at least a layer of insulation, and
it's baller looking.
it does look kind of sick. I just tested the fans for the first time, and as you imagine, it's gonna feel incredible right here because the fans are up on this spot, but we're gonna try to show you how much this bottom area really pulls in, because it's just the radiator. I'm getting the opportunity right now to make a small crack pipe. There's just no way that this sensor can be in line. Thankfully, my little crack pipe is going to come in handy and make it a non-issue, and we'll just have the sensor
dangle upside down, and away we go.
So this is the reservoir and air separation tank. So if I fill this up with pressure, this is gonna have too much pressure, and that's gonna leak into here, and this should be, right now it's a closed system. I still need to drill out that up there. But so we should be able to test everything right now. that was this. That was that.
Turn down the pressure. Because ideally what we want to do is get it under the 22 PSI and hold it there.
So we're at 20, and this is a 25 PSI cap, right?
You know what'll probably happen if you undo this lid, you'll probably hear that.
That's, wow, we're right over.
Oh yeah. This is relative to outside atmosphere. That's what the cap is measuring. It's not just 20 PSI magically, it's 20 PSI relative to the other side of the thing, which is outside air. The outside air is gonna get about 5 to 6 PSI less than we are here, so there's more pressure, right? Well, that means that if you have a 15 PSI cap, it's what, 9 relative to now, and you're way closer to the boiling point of water. That actually puts us at normal, like equivalent pressure in here, up in the atmosphere. We're finally filling the first couple gallons in through the beautiful billet butthole. We should actually be able to see it. We'll pull this back, pull this up, and then we use the wing.
Oh, that's
gently.
That's next level.
Yeah. We're putting our 1-ethanol R into this car. Spare no expense type of moment, and you get to watch how the body works.
Oh, that's
Oh
sick.
God, it's pouring.
Yeah, I had a feeling that would happen.
Son of a bitch. We got some work to do on this, but
We didn't do this at the track.
yeah. It is time to prime the system and hear the fuel pumps sing. Okay, that's round one. I'm gonna try it again. I'm starting to build pressure.
Fuck yeah.
One more time. There we go. 25 PSI. We're getting it a little bit higher base pressure, and then what do you do once you have fuel, spark, and air? It is the 12th hour of the 11th hour of the 13th hour, and I'm pretty proud of what we've got at this point. Zero testing. What we're gonna do at this point, just to be able to get the best luck on our side, is to actually not be lucky and be prepared. Given the circumstances, what I'm gonna do is, as I fire it up and warm it up, not have everybody stand there and stare and watch. They're gonna be helping finish the trailer loading up, get their shit, get the cars moved in while I warm it up to temp. And if it's got a leak, it's in the trailer, and we know we can think about how to deal with that at that point, instead of staying here another 2 hours.
I got lunch on the leak.
A lot of this is really well tested, so I feel good about that. But either way, we'll get doors on, the center panel's on. We're gonna take this front splitter off because there's no way we're getting up into the trailer without it. I feel pretty confident that with how far back those pieces are, and with the height of the car, I think we should be able to get it out of the trailer without race ramps. So I have the pump at full. And
Four is a lot.
yeah, 4 is too much for it's bypassing everything. What you got there?
I got a leak on my pull-up block.
Dinner gonna be good tonight. There's nothing there.
Oh shit. Well, that explains a lot.
It is currently 5:30 in the morning. At this moment, we have an arrival time of 10:40 p.m. with a 4 a.m. call time on the mountain. Just so you guys know, it's $1,300 a day to test at Pikes Peak. So we already lost yesterday, and I'm hoping that we don't lose today. We lost a soldier to the war.
I forgot that those guys are plastic, and yeah, but look at my mountain of weld. I went over it like 4 times, and so If it leaks, dude, I don't know. I that's gonna be the end of it for me.
He wants to throw it back on now. And it was actually pretty easy to take off when you said the slide up.
Yeah. Okay. Fuck yeah.
And
I
so
was hoping that it wasn't a pain in the ass.
He needs the win.
Yeah, he needs the win. Otherwise, I was actually going to drive it with the coolant just sitting in the block, turn off the water pump, and then just drive it and load it up. We're crazy enough to do the same thing and expect different results. No, with that, the car's all back together. We're going to put coolant in it, cycle it, and regardless of what happens, we're going to load it onto the trailer with or without coolant seeping from it.
Coolant stuff always fucks me. I don't know what it is, but I was sitting there on the bed thinking, fuck, dude, what's another job I could get?
All you guys that are like X-ray certified welders are just like, yeah, fucking Isaiah, your welds might be looking better than mine, but mine are structural and X-rayed, and you're allowed to have this moment.
This setup is really nice though.
That is.
No. Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! It's literally right there. I went over there. This one I don't feel was that.
At least he's cute. That's all I got. With the sun in the background of the grinder going on, it's like hour 7 for Isaiah, for me, for everybody, fixing his welded on front radiator inlet and outlet. We're in his hands, good and bad. I mean, we're here as a team, but that means no seat time. The cars ran a total of 8 seconds, 2 4-second runs, just to fire it up for the first start. That's why we're busting out the most reliable car I've ever owned. We are taking my laptop, which of course I'm already going to be using for tuning, so my Origin laptop, the Ace Tech direct drive monstrous unit right here. This we really haven't been able to feature much because we've just been so behind with building the car, but this combination right here is wicked. So laptop here, we'll throw the VR on and I'll sit in the trailer and get my damn seat time no matter what. So this little thing's coming with us, and the kind of funny part is that we're actually going to be near Pikes Peak learning and continuing to improve my skills on Pikes Peak without being on Pikes Peak. It is 1 p.m. Friday, Saturday, I don't know what day it is. The very first time I welded, I realized I'm like, this is 2 different alloys of aluminum. I've never felt a weld aluminum like that, and so I tried a Hail Mary and I just welded the whole area, and it leaked from like 6 different spots with them, and it looked perfectly fine. That's just incompatible metals. Poor Ethan. He had my scraps from before. Normally 7075 is actually painted black on sections, like it's very common, and so those sections had been cut off because they'd been used. Long story short was what was going on. Isaiah passed out several hours ago, so and I found out that basically we're disqualified. We're disqualified from running Pikes Peak because we now missed 2 days. Obviously, very angry, and a lot of other emotions that I can't even process yet. But the guys at Top Gear and particularly JF from Tangent Vector was helping put in a good word to, like, if I can make it to the 3rd day, which is this is garbage. This is absolutely garbage that I'm telling you guys this, proud of this, is that if we make it to the 3rd day, they'll consider keeping us in. So stakes have never been higher. I feel like a failure. And so I told him I have a Hail Mary, went to G&J, and look at this. I found some of the weirdest custom fittings. There's a 20 reducer to 16.
Holy shit.
Yep, oh, it gets weirder. I then asked, do we have a 20 ORB to 16? This will go on to there and go down to 16. And so then I asked him if these fittings can get this close on this Billet Pro thing. And so look at this. If we angle this one over, mind you, this has to get to here. I'm gonna loop it. So this is about $300 in fittings just instantly, but $300 to save me the embarrassment of everything, kind of worth it. That would then go to the 16 here, probably something down like that. Boom. And then I'm curious. I want to see if this will fit here, because then it'll be cleaner and it'll still be sticking up in the air, but it'll be less transition. Thankfully, Billet Pro, Simon from Billet Pro sent me this as like, hey, you've spent this money with me and you're helping showcase our products. I'm gonna send you this for free. And I was like, okay, cool. But like, who would have known that this ended up being
screwed.
Yeah,
right
so
now.
Simon, aside from your engine being incredible and putting to shame anything I planned for building a billet engine, you saved my ass. This is not what I planned on my bingo card for supposed to be racing up Pikes Peak, but here we are. This is a Hail Mary that's actually happening to work. So we will not have the E-gate cooled, and we will not have the turbo cooled, even though both will have their everything else respective workings. For testing, it's a segment of the run, so it's not the whole run, so the risk is really low. If it gets hot, it gets hot, and then it'll back down. I need to know what the car is going to do. This one is going to turn out really sick, and then that leaves us with the 90s off of this and the 90 there. So what I'm going to basically do is cut this in half with plenty of access for both sides and do one fitting for each hose, bleeding the system, and I'm fucking firing my goddamn car up that I've been dreaming of since January. Hold on to your butts. This is one of my first hose. Special place in my heart. This one at least has a little bit of swivel, so I went to align it, and I realized that, well, it doesn't matter because it swivels.
Never let them know your next move.
Yeah.
But Pikes Peak is thinking right now.
Yeah. They're like, we'd like to know your next move, please.
A lot of people would right
Yeah.
now.
I myself, you got to keep your ops from knowing your next move, so you don't even know your own next move. It'll go up by the vent, which was totally the plan, right? Twist this, thankfully.
That's air cooled.
Yeah, that's right. And then we'll feed the hot air back into the turbo. This is all part of the plan. This is what it's looking like. This one's going to actually look more correct and appropriate. This is our tried and true 1/8 NPT sensor. It goes to a DTM 2-pin connector. Solid. International vehicles, actually even GM really, uses not 1/8 inch MPT, which actually I prefer not MPT. MPT is a weird thing. I get the idea, but I hate it. So the adapter that we've got doesn't have this style. It has M12 by 1.5. Haltech sells a lot of those sensors. This is what that sensor is. I have a random one because I'm a hoarder, and I didn't have this connector, but I do have airplanes in the day sky. And so I have a little bag of like really random shit I keep, like, you like that?
Yeah.
I could really use a wish right now. And so look at this. I cut some random ass thing and kept the connector and a pigtail worth of it. And
It boops and it beeps?
yeah, it beeps and it boops. And it's just long enough that I'll make this connect into the other thing and reach around politely and finish the job. So we're going to fill this up and let the truth be shown.
Holy water.
That's right. The guy who's ringing a bell right now, who always, like, ever since 2018, comes by and ice cream. I asked for SpongeBob, but this is the same concept.
Is that blueberries?
They're gumballs.
Oh.
And normally the SpongeBob, he's all like it's always all like terrifying. This is actually, that's a legitimate. Oh yeah,
He's kind of terrifying too.
Yeah.
His eyes.
This looks pretty. Normally they're all melted and weird, but yeah, this is.
I went with the classic.
Oh yeah.
Boring.
Well, it's a celebration for filling it up.
Cooling. And we're cooling, and the car is cooling. Hopefully, 6 hours of trying to.
Oh, it's more than 6 hours. You realize it's 2:40 in the afternoon. We've been doing this since like 10 p.m. It's been like
Jesus.
started with that, and I think 2 a.m. was when it like hit the fan. Well, that's 12 hours. I'm on day 4 of being awake almost.
Live.
It's something in there. So we're gonna go ahead and move the truck back, pull the car out, and let it idle and see what happens next. I need to make this very clear. This is like, okay, we have a lot going on all at once, but this is the moment that we've been waiting for since January 26th, where it was like, okay, you are accepted. I shot out of bed and knew that this was where the car was gonna go. I made that very clear in the video. The next day, this is what we're gonna do to the car, and we fucking did it way later than we expected. But I'm gonna go ahead and use it to pull it out. This will be the first time moving on under its own power.
Hearing titanium exhaust.
Titanium exhaust, the sequential, putting that into reverse, the billet engine, the list goes on. it's idling, the car can't get up to temperature. It just got to 140 briefly, and the fans came on like softly, and it went right back down. So we know that even with the main radiator down here, that's pretty much a massive win. We got a lot of small issues, but all 3 rotors are all within 30 degrees of each other on those. The O2 sensors aren't working. The main O2 sensor is working, but not the 3 front ones because they're not calibrated. I calibrated them, but it must not have taken. It doesn't want to idle, so that I feel like there's a vacuum leak of some sort. But currently the oxygen level is like, okay, I'm good with what you're doing, but it like reads like half a psi of like draw. I'm gonna just do a circle and look at what that data gives me. Oh my God, those are almost louder than the 4 rotors.
Yeah, dude, first time you did it, the flame was huge and it came out the diffuser.
No,
like,
so sick. It brought all the neighbors out, so you know we're on the right path. This is radiating heat, so we're gonna have to make sure before we leave we throw it up on the lift. We can do this out there too, but I mean it's very, very hot coming up, and so it's gonna start melting wires at some point. So we purposely have heat shielding, and we are going to need it. But oh my God, we're only at 150 degrees coolant temp, 130 degrees oil. We don't have the second radiator installed, but we do have both oil coolers on and no fans for those. So it's fucking insane. This is an on and off car, and that's actually kind of intimidating, but the transmission screams and it sounds different than the Hollander.
Oh, whoa.
It's got this like cooler, I like the Hollander, I love the Hollander, but it's got a really high pitch, you'll hear it, it's nuts. So I explicitly told where I wanted this vent, and you can't see it, but it is stupidly hot right here. We'll get my dad's infrared camera because it's gonna show you a picture, and this one is not only meant to get the hot air that comes through here and traps and comes out, but it's also radiating the heat off of the exhaust. Because right now, this one, barely above room temperature, but that one's, you know, cooking.
Oh, yeah. Ooh.
So it is finally time to load up. 5 million years too fucking late. We're gonna get there, and then work has to, there's so much that needs to be done to this car, it's ridiculous. I'll try and sleep in the truck, and then right to the dyno, right to this. I finally get a moment to do any of the work that really matters. So, get it going, get on the road, and get to Pikes Peak. Somebody who doesn't know how to ride a crotch rocket. Squid. So Ethan got us eggs, and they're not even painted.
Yeah, that's fucked up.
So explain what you're saying.
So the egg is gonna crack for us to take away any bad luck. So we're just gonna go on the T-junction over there and then just egg the road, and hopefully it cracks. If it doesn't crack, we're not leaving.
I was actually excited he did this because there's a lot of Mexican culture about eggs and bad energy and juju and stuff like that. So we should have done this like last month.
There's also a lot of Mexican culture about eggs called huevos.
You go first.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Of course it's gonna break like that, dude. Chill out. I want to take the moment for us to all remember this feeling, because this is fucking badass. No matter how, no. All the hard work that literally just has to keep going and doesn't fucking stop, that's why Rob's gonna make history.
One of the guys from Patreon had said it best, is that this is what differentiates somebody who talks it and does it. Because everybody, you know, like, you're seeing the setbacks here, you're gonna have those same setbacks. You're gonna have people, you know, look like they're promising to help you out 4 months ago and then like have issues. That's just human nature. Like, I'm trying to be as good as you guys. Some of you look up to me, others you're like, yeah, you're a piece of shit. But
at this point, I feel like we have one fucking hell of a car. Hell of a car, mediocre driver, and no experience in the car. So I hate it, but I'll be somebody that's driven Pikes Peak at speed, and I hope I can post a respectable time and get the car solid to where she and I are yet again one, and we can dance. I feel like we were supposed to be on that ride.